Good morning and welcome to our 2023 Virtual Capital Region Partners presentation. My name is Matt Schellenberger, ECA Director of Corporate Development, and it's my pleasure to act as your MC this morning. Today, we are pleased to welcome several of our local public and private partners in attendance to share information on their upcoming infrastructure priorities for 2023 and beyond, as well as their pulse on the current marketplace. To begin, I'd like to welcome each of our partners here today. We're pleased to have 8 of our public partners, as well as a special presentation on the commercial and industrial market. On behalf of our board of directors and the ECA membership, I want to emphasize our appreciation to all of our presenters for your work and to highlight the continuing desire of our member firms to deliver projects of the highest value per dollar to each of you. Before we hear from our first owner, I'd like to introduce Ken Gibson, Executive Director of the Alberta Construction Association. Ken? Hi, Ken.
Hi,
Ken's
Matt.
here. Ken's here to provide a short update with regards to ACA priorities. Ken, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you very much to the Edmonton Construction Association, Matt, for the opportunity for ACA to provide this brief update. I'll start with sharing my screen. Can you see a PDF up on the screen now, folks?
Not yet.
Okay. How about now?
That's perfect. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. So what I've shared on the screen is the January 2023 ACA report that went out to the member companies. So folks may have already seen this. Recent advocacy highlights, the ACA plain language guides on the New Builders Lien Act and on prompt pay are available on ACA's website. The third and final plain language guide on adjudication procedures will be released in the next 2 weeks. It's just in the formatting stage. Next highlight, a dialogue on risk in Alberta infrastructure contracts. That dialogue kicks off January 30th, and we'll be reaching out to industry for your assistance. Next point, ACA continues to advocate for changes to apprenticeship and to immigration to increase supply of construction workers, which is good for our owners as well if we can have more folks on the tools. And finally, on the advocacy front, all employers, so this would include the other presenters, I would urge all employers who are utilizing workers' compensation coverage for your employees to look at the current policy proposal from the WCB, where they are merging home at work and remote work. And it creates, if it's not changed and clarified, it will create serious issues for everybody who is an employer. So urge you to have a look at it, comment, and urge the WCB to separate out policies for remote versus work from home. Finally, on the programs front, just want to let all of the contractors, architects, engineers, everybody connected that's in the private sector, everybody connected to our sector, you can receive more than your ECA membership dues by taking advantage of the ECA ACA Construction New Talent Program funded by the Alberta government, up to $5,000 per approved post-secondary student intern, and you can contact ACA for more details. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate, again, the opportunity for a brief update.
Thank you so much, Ken. Appreciate it. Now, I'd like to introduce our first presenting owner. So that's the City of Edmonton. So from the city, we have Branch Manager Infrastructure Delivery, Craig Walbom, and Director Facility Infrastructure Delivery, Jesse Banford. Gentlemen, there's Craig. Craig, I'll give you the floor.
Thanks, Matt. Oh, thanks, and thanks everyone. Jesse's going to run the slides here, and I'm going to do some. Then he's going to take over. So, thanks for having us here. I know we generally do this annually, but we really appreciate being able to do this too, and we're happy to be here this morning. So Adam Laughlin, whenever he's available and can make it, who is our Deputy City Manager of Integrated Infrastructure Services, does these whenever available. He was unavailable today, so I'm stepping in to do an update on the higher level for you this morning. We all look forward to these events, and it's a reminder of what's coming, but all that we've accomplished as well. I guess the highlights that we always like to make too, and I know Matt's already mentioned it, is that how we accomplish our capital agenda and our goals of our infrastructure building and delivery that meets our city plan goals and what citizens expect come from our relationship with all of you, and keeping our economy healthy, keeping things moving, and meeting those goals all comes from the work that we do together. And we really appreciate the support we get as well from all of you in industry, and we couldn't do it without you. So it's a brief thank you right off the start of this. So next slide, Jesse. So I'll go really brief on this, but just a reminder, who are we as a capital infrastructure department within the city of Edmonton? Adam, as I said, is the Deputy City Manager of that area. We have a support group, which is a department strategy group that links in with the rest of our corporation and supports us on strategic elements. Then the areas in the city and how we do this as a department is we have an infrastructure planning and design branch led by Pascal Ladesseur. And that's where we do the front end planning and design efforts for our categories of infrastructure. So you'll see a transportation facility. We also have a life cycle management group that looks at our asset management strategies for all of our assets in the city, and then support services on the engineering side, technical side. On the infrastructure delivery side, I am the acting branch manager for that now, and that has the delivery phases or the construction phases when it comes, and final designs when it comes to transportation facilities. We also have custom portfolios within this area, such as Yellowhead Trail. And then our Project Management Center of Excellence is here as well to continue our journey on excellence in project management, and our technical services area. We have a dedicated LRT expansion and renewal group under Bruce Ferguson, where we are working on all of our key Valley Line projects, including Valley Line, Metro, Capital extensions, and we also have LRT renewal projects within there. Our Great Neighborhoods branch is under Nicole Wolf right now as the acting branch manager, and that does all of our neighborhood renewal work, both on planning, design, delivery sides, as well as our open spaces work. So all of our river, valley, our parks, and adjacent areas come out of that area. And then we also have a dedicated Blatchford area with Tom Lumsden being the lead of that area, where they do all elements of Blatchford, including land use planning, infrastructure development, sales, marketing. And they also have a renewable energy systems group that goes beyond Blatchford, but within Blatchford as well. Next slide, Jesse. So before I get into what's upcoming in our program for the upcoming years, just wanted to do a brief update to give you a sense of how we report to our council, but how we're doing on our projects overall. So this is our latest public council update we gave, which is Q3 of 2022. What it's really showing is that as a city overall, we continue to perform well, especially when it comes to our scope and our budget perspectives. We are seeing a dip more in our schedule. And I think all of you will be aware that we've had a number of pressures over the last few years that lead to a bit of that dip, including things like our COVID that we've all gone through, and what we're seeing right now with inflationary pressures and availability of materials. So that's just a brief highlight of some of where we're at right now. And I would say that in terms of us comparing with other municipalities, everyone does things a different way, or different regions in the country. We do relatively well overall in terms of how not just we're doing on our projects, but our transparency and how we track those projects and let both the public and our council know how we're doing on them on a quarterly basis. We give these updates to them. Next slide, Jesse. So I'm going to quickly and briefly go into what the city just set for our next 4 years of priorities. So just wanted to highlight to you that we set our budgets on a 4-year basis, both our capital plans and our operating plans, and then we do adjustments each year to them with our council as we evolve. And so there was a fairly significant investment of time and energy to establish the budget that is just beginning this year for the next 4 years. And what you'll see is that the scale of that budget on both our capital and operating side is in the order of over $20 billion or 21 billion. So that's 4 years of dollars. And we also set and received priorities from our council that aligns with our strategic plans, our city plan, which I'll explain a bit again on the next slide. But the order of magnitude, as you'll see here, is $8 billion of capital investment we're going to be moving forward with in the next 4 years. Some of the focus areas that came up out of our budget are active mode advancements, such as our bike plan expansion, and reaffirming commitments on our major infrastructure projects like LRT, Yellowhead, major freeway systems like Terwilliger Drive. Also, there was a highlight on an investment coming in our climate change initiatives with focus on building energy retrofits, net zero buildings, and linked to that, our solar array installations. When it comes to the operating budget, that is about 3.3 billion a year, or around 13 billion for the 4 years. Focuses that came out at council on that were intention and focus on continuing our efforts on affordable housing and dealing with houselessness or homelessness prevention, and the affordable housing grant programs is one element of supporting that. Also, our transit services, including expanding and making on-demand transit service more permanent and extending it into off-peak areas, as well as safety elements on transit that you'll see at the bottom there. Also enhancing our snow and ice control elements and our energy transition and climate adaptation plans. Next slide, Jesse. Now into a bit more details on what does our capital program look like. So as you'll see on this slide, our city plan really has priority and initiatives for the long term, and we are now setting out our next 4 years of that long-term plan, which takes us over, into and over 50 years for the long-term plan. Some of the highlights on that you'll see are $100 million of investment over the 4 years in advancing our bike plan network. Also dollars towards missing and enhancing our sidewalk connections where there's links missing. Transit priority measures are in there, and climate resiliency on our city facility upgrades, and district energy systems that take us into our downtown area and continue to look at our expansions on that, as well as other elements like fire stations, and our reaffirming commitments, which I've already mentioned a bit on key projects like Yellowhead, all of the LRT systems, Terwilliger, also rec centers like Lewis Farms, Coronation Park, and again, our solar panel arrays. Next slide, Jesse. So another element of this, and as it relates to city plan, is our focus on how we redevelop the city as it is. So Edmonton intends to avoid expansion and the need to expand an additional 5,000 hectares outside of our current boundaries by redevelopment of our existing footprint. So that's a big push and a big effort, and you'll see elements of that starting to come through in some of our projects that we're moving forward with. So some of the other elements related to those dimensions and where we've got our commitment is areas like Chinatown infrastructure improvements on vibrancy of those areas and meeting strategy commitments that were made, affordable housing, land acquisitions, and site developments. Some of our rehabilitations in key areas of the city, such as our high-level bridge, also library relocations such as Riverbend, Valley Zoo renewal, district park enhancements, corner store programs, which is local commercial area enhancements, some of our revitalization neighborhood areas such as Baldwin, Belvedere, and improvements to our major infrastructure to open up industrial opportunities such as 137 Ave and Anthony Handy Drive ramps. In this lens, reaffirm commitments on things like our Blatchford redevelopment, William Horlock Park rehabilitation. Our overall neighborhood and alley programs continue at the fully funded levels that council asked us to. Our bridge rehabilitations as well, and projects like our partnerships like Edmonton Strathcona County Pedestrian Bridge and our 50th Street CP Rail. Great separations are other highlights. Next slide, Jesse. So what does that look like from a percentage in our capital budget for the next 4 years? Transportation is around 35% overall. LRT is around 37%. Facilities are around 24% of that overall budget. And then we have open spaces and others such as Blatchford investments that take us to what our plan looks like. So with that, to get into more details on what some of those projects look like and opportunities for us all, I'm going to hand it over to Jesse now. And again, just wanted to thank you for having us and for you listening to me today. So thank you all. Jesse, over to you. You're on mute, Jesse. You're muted still, Jesse.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Craig. So now getting into a bit of the nitty-gritty. My name is Jesse Bamford. I'm the Director for Facility Infrastructure Delivery. I'd like to start off with a big thank you to all of our partners. To say 2022 was a busy year is an understatement. Also, I'd like to say thank you to the Edmonton Construction Association for continuing to put these opportunities on where we can connect with the industry, share our successes that we've achieved together, and share future upcoming opportunities. Typically, we have the director in each of the asset areas come and present on their portfolios of work. However, this year I have the privilege of presenting on all the asset areas for the capital development delivery work being done in the city of Edmonton. With that said, the first portfolio is close to my heart, and it's facility infrastructure delivery. Bear with me as I flip through slides. This year, we've completed many projects close to home and celebrated many successes with our industry partners. The sheer number of projects we manage this construction season in all corners of the city provides both a local boost to the Edmonton's economy and also reinvigorates our infrastructure, which is a vital component to providing services to citizens every day. Construction is an economic driver. It gets people to work. It can involve local area businesses, both large and small, and builds a healthy city. As noted, our capital work has provided over 10,000 people with support. Over 10,000 people work with support of over 300 Edmonton-based companies. These successes are only achieved with the support of you and our industry partners. So what does the infrastructure look like this year? In short, a lot, and it can't be done without you. We're currently preparing for another ambitious four-year capital program. We're being mindful of and strategic in the scheduling of this whole program to ensure we achieve the greatest likelihood of success, and that your help is vital in this. As of Q4 2022, we had roughly about 100 projects between develop and delivery, with the equal split roughly between the two. This helps ensure that we keep our capital infrastructure running in a fairly continuous stream through a gated process that matches our resource constraints. Should you wish to see the evolving list of projects, please visit the Building Edmonton website, as this is updated in a quarterly fashion that reflects the current stage that projects are currently at, the associated budget, the schedule, and corresponding lead project manager. Or versely, if you have additional questions, please feel to reach out to either Shannon Fitzsimmons or myself to discuss facility projects that are coming in planning, design, or delivery. So on to transportation. During the year of 2022, we had over $100 million total project expenditure, including overall roadway renewal, close to 400,000 square meters. Some of the project highlights from construction work in 2022 are the following: 50th Street Overpass, Terwilliger Drive Phase 1, Ladder Bridge Replacement, 170th Street West Edmonton Mall Pedestrian Bridge, Gateway Boulevard, and 103rd Ave Streetscape, 101st to 101st Street, and Jasper New Vision final year. For this year, with your help, we're looking to deliver on another successful year. The road renewal program is around $20 million, which includes mill and overlay, which is about 200,000 square meters and is spread across 10 locations, and road rehabilitation, which is about 50,000 square meters that's spread across 4 locations. For the bridges and miscellaneous works program, the value of construction is about $16 million of the work. We're going to see the McKinnon Ravine Pedestrian Bridge replacement, the Mill Creek Trestle Pedestrian Bridge, that's going to be in the fall of 2023, Mill Creek Erosion Repairs, Edmonton Waste Management Center, and Landfill Cutoff Wall. And for the arterial growth and network improvements, this program is about $8 million of construction work this year. That includes bike lanes and missing links. Get out of that slide. The other major transportation program, the Yellowhead Trail Freeway conversion, continues to take shape as the improvements are completed along the 20-kilometer corridor. The two projects are critically important to the success of the conversion are the 156th Street to St. Edward Trail project in the west and Fort Road widening. In 2022, it was a year of 2 of the 3 projects completed. Construction activities included noise attenuation, wall replacement, road reconstruction, traffic barrier construction, installation of underground drainage infrastructure, and improvements to the adjacent supporting transportation networks. Also in 2022, the Keystone project of the program, St. Albert Trail, took another step forward with PCL coming on board as the city's construction manager. The project includes removal of at-grade signalized intersections at 127th Street, 124th Street, 121st Street, 107th Street, and construction of two interchanges, one at 127th Street and one at 121st Street. Construction will start again this year and likely extend into 2027. The estimated construction value of this program alone is roughly $400 million. The freeway conversion will greatly improve the safety and reliability of the corridor and improve the movement of goods and services in and out of this corridor, and improve our daily commute of tens and thousands of Edmontonians. That said, the freeway conversion is much more about just moving vehicles. It's about a mode of travel, sustainability, the well-being of natural systems, and integration with surrounding communities. These have been and will continue to be the key considerations to the design of construction. Should you have any questions on the transportation portfolio of work, please feel free to reach out to Chris Lima for Yellowhead Trail, or to Natalie or Sam Almotar for the transportation work. So next up is open spaces. The open space planning and design of delivery teams in partnership with industry delivered a significant number of projects. A few of the projects highlight on this slide include the new downtown warehouse park, Confederation District Park, Beverly Hills House Park renewal, Keswick East and West Park sites, and the Heritage Valley District Park. Oh, geez. So what do we have for 2023? 2023 program is shaping up also to be very busy now that the 2023-26 capital program has been approved. We know that our focus for the next 4 years will be on the priority open space asset renewal projects and completing those projects that were initiated in advance through the concept and preliminary design in the last budget cycle. If you're curious about the upcoming work that is occurring in your neighborhood, please check out the Capital Infrastructure website, or feel free to reach out to Suzanne Young or Nicole Wolf. Onto the neighborhood program. Starting with a quick update in the planning and design of 2022, there's approximately 9.3 million of consulting assignments awarded for planning and design. This includes 2 neighborhoods of reconstruction and 3 alleyway renewal projects. One of the other big accomplishments for 2022 was the closing of the major neighborhood standing agreement. Once evaluations are done and successful proponents will be chosen, this will provide significant efficiencies in the ability to contract consultant services. Looking at 2023, it is a bit of a large year for the planning and design, and we anticipate to have over 10 million in consultant assignments. These will go mainly out to the standing arrangements. There will be planning and design for 4 neighborhoods of reconstruction projects and 3 alleyway neighborhood rehabilitation projects. For the delivery team in 2022, we completed $150 million worth of work. This includes 9 neighborhood reconstruction projects, with 4 being completed and 5 continuing to 2023. 4 neighborhoods with alley reconstruction, of which 3 were completed, 12 rehabilitation projects, and 1 streetscape project on 124th Street. For 2023, a number of multi-year contracts are getting ready for tender. This includes 3 new neighborhoods in reconstruction with a multi-year budget of totaling roughly $100 million. These will be for the neighborhoods are Batron, McCully, and Altwell. Batron and McCully are both 3 years in duration, and Altwell will be phased over 2. Then there are 9 neighborhoods with alley renewals. This year we'll be sending out 4 tenders, 1 to 2 years in duration, to a total of project budget, approximate budget of 22 million. There will also be North and East program tenders for a 2-year duration and a total approximate budget of 8 million. Finally, we have 132 Ave reconstruction with a budget of approximately 30 million. This is a unique project and is a reflection of the priority of the City Council. It is placed on continuing the implement and city plan, and it involves a full range of redesign and reconstruction of the current alignment with a change of modal priority. The overall project spans from 97th Street to Fort Road, and with a phased in 2-year or 4-year contracts. The first contract will be coming out this year, and it's from 97th Street to 127th Street. So LRT. For the Metro Line Northwest LRT extension, we look to complete the majority of civil systems and installations in 2023 along the LRT corridor in Blatchford. The important features of a transit mall design is now underway. The cycle tracks and sidewalks are to be completed this year, and existing NATE stations are repurposing. It is slated to take place in 2024. The expected opening of the LRT is by 2025. The Valley Line Southwest in 2023 will see the project focus on completing and testing, commissioning, and full performance demonstration, and ultimately opening up for service to the public. The Valley Line West will be heavy construction mode with increased construction presence in more locations along the alignment. Some of the work planned for our LRT renewal project this budget cycle includes the 103rd Ave pedway construction to start in 2024 and complete by 2026-2027. The Coliseum Bridge rehabilitation to start in 2023 and expected to complete in 2025. To continue the North Portal, Corona, Belvedere, Stadium traction power, substantial electrical and mechanical replacements or upgrades, and these are expected to be completed by 2024. The installation of 2 elevators and 2 escalators at the central station. North of Belvedere crossover replacement will be completed in 23 to 2024. And the overhead catenary systems will start in 2023 and expected to be completed in 2026. Other works to watch for, the Capital Line South LRT extension project is as follows. A design build request for proposal will be released to a short list of proponents. This is anticipated to be released at the end of March and also anticipated to be awarded as a design build contract by the end of 2023. We're also planning to launch a light rail vehicle procurement in 2023 of May this year, with the anticipated award of this contract by the May of 2024. If you have any questions as it relates to LRT, please feel free to reach out to Eric. On to Blatchford. The Blatchford Redevelopment Office is leading the development of a new centrally located community with a bold and exciting vision set by City Council. Blatchford will be the home of 30,000 Edmontons living, working, and learning in a sustainable community that uses 100% renewable energy. It is a carbon neutral, significantly reduces ecological footprint, empowers residents to pursue a range of sustainable lifestyle choices. The Blatchford office also includes a renewable energy system group that oversees the Blatchford utility and will be embarking on including district energy around the city. Blatchford is considered to be a transformational project, a landmark development for Edmonton. It will not only be the neighborhood Edmontonians can be proud of, but it will help position our city as a leader in sustainable community design in North America and around the world. Several Blatchford milestones had occurred in 2022. The completion of stage 3 site servicing, bringing lots more to the market. The commencement of stage 5 and the NATE landing servicing, which will be completed in this year. Blatchford Renewable Energy continues to provide energy for heating and cooling to the homes in Blatchford, and the first home builders continue to have success. Our multi-family lot started construction this year, or last year, and residents continue to move in, growing into the Blatchford community. The plans for 2023, continued land sales. We have sold all of the fee simple townhomes, lots in stage 1 and 2. We're also in the negotiations of number of multifamilies for land parcels, both in stages 1, 2, 3, and 5. Stage 5 and the NATE lands are ready for MAP, water, and sewer servicing to provide the servicing for these 2 stages. Planning for stage 6 is currently underway, and Blatchford Renewable Energy is expanding, the first energy center to accommodate further growth in this community. As noted before, the Renewable Energy Group will be planning the inclusion of district energy nodes around the city in the construction to follow the near future. Now on to our last slide, or our last part of the presentation from our procurement friends. And if you have any questions that relates to procurement, please feel free to reach out to either Roger Lockwood or Shell Bush. On behalf of CPSS, we'd like to thank you for working with us throughout 2022. We appreciate working with all of you through the year and the procurement process and continuing to improve how well we work together. We'd like to start by sharing the information about a few initiatives that we've been working on, and we'll be sharing more with you as we go into 2023. but for a high-level highlight, firstly, in June 2022, the Edmonton City Council approved an updated sustainable procurement policy. This revised policy continues to guide city procurements to include ethical, environmental, and social value considerations. Since the city implemented the social value menu in 2019, we have increased the percentage of competitive procurements that include social benefit. This criteria went from 9.5% in 2020 to 41% in 2021. In 2023, we're improving our tools as we mature in the social procurement area. This sustainable procurement policy now also includes Indigenous considerations outlined in the city's Indigenous procurement framework, and based on our work that was done in 2021 with our advisory committee and memorandum of understanding partners. We look to further communicate this with the industry in 2023 and develop networking opportunities with Indigenous businesses and stakeholders such as yourselves. In regards to the city unsolicited proposal framework, we currently have a process as outlined in the procurement standard. We are working towards reviewing the framework and looking at how we can make it better for suppliers in the city of Edmonton. Also in 2023, we'll be working on reviewing our supplier performance program. The plan is to review our current program, find areas for improvement, and roll out this updated program. And with that, this concludes our presentation. On behalf of the City of Edmonton, thank you again for your dedication and professionalism. We appreciate all of our industry partners help to achieve the vision stated in the city plan to become a healthy, urban, and climate resilient city of 2 million people that support prosperous region. We hope this information has been helpful for your annual planning and are excited to continue with the work with you. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jesse. Appreciate that presentation, Craig, as well. And we certainly continue to interact with all the departments that you mentioned here at the ECA. And I know there's lots of the people on this presentation that are engaged in projects with you. So next we have Blair Martin. Blair's from the city of Leduc. I'll invite you, Blair, to join us. There you are. Excellent. I'll turn the floor over to you.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you very much, Matt. Welcome, everybody. I'm just going to share my screen here. Perfect. All right. Obviously, a little bit smaller than Edmonton's capital program, but I think a pretty good program for our small city here. Quick overview of our department. There's just 5 of us in the capital projects department. Kyle's our manager, and it's myself and 3 other project managers. So if you have any questions, you can contact any one of us. For our capital program this year, we've got a pretty good variety, a lot of overlays this year, a few reconstructions, and a lot of utility programs. At least a big year for us for utilities anyways. Our first one is our arterial overlays program. This tender will be coming out probably late next week. Quite a bit of concrete replacement along 50th Street in front of City Hall, or rather the hospital and fire hall, and approximately 55,000 square meters of overlay for arterial roads on basically our 3 main arterials in Leduc: 50th Avenue on the west side of the city, 50th Street, and Black Gold Drive in front of the Leduc Rec Center. So our next one is also primarily overlays. We've got a lot of collectors and local roads. I think about 25,000 square meters of overlay, as well as the reconstruction of a small cul-de-sac that has completely failed on us. Be a fairly good project for our road program. We've also got our lane renewal program again this year. Trying to replace all the lanes throughout our city, and we're getting pretty close. We've got about 6,200 square meters of lane reconstruction, along with all the concrete driveway connections as well. Most of these tenders will be out throughout February and should be all done before March. The large one that we've got also being released actually next week is the 48th Street utility replacement. It's the wholesale replacement of our sanitary mains and water down 48th Street, which actually runs right in front of our Civic Center. So it'll be a rather visible project running right in front of where council can watch it. There's about 7,000 square meters of road reconstruction along with the utility replacement. Our next couple contracts, we've just got 2 smaller utility upgrades. There's about 450 meters of water main replacement right next to an elementary school that runs into our Lady Park. And then a second, or rather a third utility contract with a mix of spot repairs and some lighting of our sanitary and storm mains. A couple of specialty projects. We are at capacity at our cemetery, so we're starting the site servicing and deconstruction of a new cemetery. So there's about 400 meters of utility installation and new road reconstruction just adjacent to our operations building here to service the new cemetery, and the new cemetery construction will likely start as well. So it'll be a rather large grading contract for that one. We're installing 12 new pickleball courts in Lady Park, just north of the Leduc Rec Center. Pickleball courts seem to be all the rage these days. And now that the city owns the golf course here, we're doing a lot of capital projects at the golf course. And this year we've got a full replacement of the irrigation system. That was actually awarded in December, but that'll be running throughout this summer and next to replace the entire irrigation system, pump house and all. And that'll lead us into next year. We are looking to do the potentially pave the cart path throughout the golf course and replace the parking lot as well. The 65th Avenue interchange, we've talked about this. I think Kyle's probably talked about this for the last 5 or 6 years, but this year we can actually say that construction is actually proceeding on 65th Ave, which is nice. That contract was awarded to Graham just in the winter here in December, and we're anticipating construction starting likely in a couple weeks here. Be nice to actually finally get that one moving. Just this past year, our engineering group has taken over facilities capital projects, and we've got a couple of large ones coming out. Not so much this year for construction, primarily design this year, but we recently secured an architect for a new fire hall, and that one will go to construction next year. We're also looking at an expansion of the Leduc Rec Center and a multi-sport air-supported dome structure at the west end in lieu of a new west campus for sports facility. As mentioned, the golf course, and I think that's it for facilities work. And I think every other municipality had already moved to electronic tendering, but we are finally joining the crowd, and all of our tenders are electronic only now. And we're using leduc.bizandtenders.ca. Obviously, the notices will be posted on APC, but all of the tenders and submissions will be done on Bids and Tenders finally. And that is it. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me, and should be able to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Blair. Appreciate that. Appreciate our partnership with City of Leduc. Now we have Trevor Crawford. Trevor, I'll invite you to turn your camera on there. Hi, Trevor. From the City of Spruce Grove to provide an update on their upcoming work.
All right, I'll just share my screen here.
Looks good.
Got her? All right. Okay, well, good morning, everybody, and thanks again to the ECA for once again inviting me to share our Capital Works program for 2023. Quite excited about this year. We've got quite an aggressive program this year, certainly significantly larger than we had in 2022. So just a little bit of background here. map of the city of Spruce Grove. City of Spruce Grove is a rapidly growing city, just a little bit west of the city of Edmonton, quite adjacent now to the ever expanding Atchison industrial subdivision. So our programs are typically funded year after year. So for 2023, we have some water main and sanitary sewer programs, which are funded 2023, 24. We're also funded in 2022. So we have dedicated funding to attend to the aging infrastructure in that category. This year, and for the next number of years through 2026, our focus for water and sanitary sewer rehab will be in the city center. There's quite a focus on redevelopment and just trying to reinvigorate the downtown city center area in Spruce Grove. So this year we've got water main and sanitary sewer rehab work in these areas that are shown here in the city center part of Spruce Grove. Much of it is all of it obviously is replacement of the existing aged water mains. Many of them are to be upsized to obviously accommodate larger redevelopment, so higher density type of redevelopment in that area. Next one here is some more water and sewer work. This is in the industrial area of Spruce Grove. So we also have year after year funding for this type of work. So in this case, we've got new water main connecting between South Avenue and Diamond Avenue, and then replacing the existing water main within this section of Diamond Avenue with a new 400 diameter water main. Again, replacing an aged main and upsizing it to provide better fire flows and whatnot in the area. So this is work that is supported for the next couple of years through our budget process, and we expect this work in the industrial area to continue through to 2029 till completion. Next one is we've got a program this year. Our latest version of our water master plan identified some areas in the north part of Spruce Grove, because Spruce Grove is built kind of higher in the south, lower in the north towards Highway 16. So the pressures, water pressures in that north area have tended to get a little bit out of control. Some of the pressures in the north areas are pushing 80 to 85 PSI. So to mitigate this issue, we're looking to install the 4 pressure reducing valves that are shown on this drawing. And this will create a new pressure zone in that area. As well as this work in 2023, there's similar work to install another, I believe, 5 or 6 pressure reducing valves in 2025. Another underground bit of work here is we've had some issues in this Greenbury Village subdivision of Spruce Grove with some high groundwater concerns. A lot of residents had indicated that the sump pumps continually go. Early on in the design of this subdivision, it was determined by the developer that certain areas did not require storm services. So these areas, some of the areas in the Greenbury Village subdivision don't have that. What they do have, though, is this bioswale, and that seems to be at the north end of that bioswale. It seems to be giving us a little bit of problems. So a study was completed in 2020 and 2021 to monitor these groundwater conditions. And the study has recommended some modifications to the bioswale groundwater recharge. So we're looking to install at the north end of this bioswale an infiltration sink. It'll basically be a bed of washed rock tied into an existing storm sewer, hoping that gives this area a place for that higher groundwater table to get to. So this will be kind of stage one, our first stab at this dewatering type of work in the Greenbury subdivision. There are other recommended fixes to this that we can look at if this doesn't prove to mitigate all of the issues. But this one, I would expect to see a tender on this one coming out in March. We got some work this year to upgrade some traffic signals. So we've got a set, and really old, probably the oldest set of traffic signals still existing in Spruce Grove is at the Millgrove Drive and Calgary Road intersection. So we'll be putting out a tender to completely replace that old traffic signal. And then at the Grove Drive and King Street intersection, we've got some improvements to that set of traffic signals. It's got an old controller. We're going to replace that old controller with a new one, install appropriate autoscope detection equipment and preemption equipment at that intersection as well. That should be tendered out sometime in April. And we'll get to some surface work that we've got planned. This is some resurfacing of Highway 16A through Spruce Grove. So we've got two sections that remain in the westbound, or sorry, the eastbound lanes. So we've got right on the east side of Spruce Grove from Century Road eastbound to our east city limit. That'll be resurfaced, and as well there's a section on the west side from Jennifer Highway towards Nelson Drive. This is work that we had hoped to complete in 2022, and actually went as far as having this tendered, and we weren't able to complete this work just due to some financial constraints, but very happy to be able to get this done in 2023. This program extends through to 2027. This drawing just shows kind of the areas we're going to in the next few years, so 2024 through 2027. Another bit of surface work that we've got for 2023, and this one should be tendered actually really quite soon, beginning of February to mid-February. Top lift of asphalt on Pioneer Road. Pioneer Road is the arterial road right on the east side of Spruce Grove, running between right now between Grove Drive and Highway 16A. Was constructed between 2016 and 2019, and we did not place the top lift of asphalt. Typically we leave that for a few years, so this year has been supported that we can get the top lift of asphalt placed on this, and that will be nice to have completed. Now this slide just talks about the neighborhood renewal type of work that we do in Spruce Grove. Again, we have year after year funding to do some neighborhood renewal type of work. Most of that consists of either 250 depth pulverization and then asphalt paving, or a 50 millimeter mill and overlays, obviously depending on the location and the circumstance. We can change that and may have to go with a deeper mill, but typically that's our approach to these. This year we have work going on in Creekside Way in the Aspen Glen subdivision, and at Stoneshire Crescent, Stoneshire Close, and Stoneshire Manor in the Stoneshire neighborhood. And the big one's going to be 2 blocks on Jesperson Avenue. That work, the surface work, will be complete reconstruction of Jesperson Avenue from King Street to Queen Street, right in front of City Hall. So we as well will have City Hall and Council eyes right on that project, looking at that through much of the construction season. With that job on Jesperson, we did the water main and sanitary sewer work last year and get the surface work done in 2023. This drawing just shows those areas. On the left is Jesperson Avenue, in the center is Creekside Way, and on the right side is the work in the Stoneshire subdivision. Along with that, we have another program to tackle areas where underground work is not typically required. The sanitary and water are typically newer and in good condition, but the surface work is starting to fail. So this year, this slide shows where we plan to go for work in 2023 and 2024. So this is in the Deer Park subdivision of Spruce Grove, just a little bit north of Grove Drive and east of Jennifer Heil Way. We plan to do as much work. We haven't quite yet determined how much we'll be able to get done in the Deer Park subdivision in 2023. But we'll certainly complete that work in 2024, as well as mill and overlay of, this is Weston Drive from Calibu Road to Nelson Drive on the right side. So that will be work in 2024 for sure. A little bit of other work that we've got going on in 2023. We have typically got some money to do storm catch basin upgrades, not always replacing the barrels. Sometimes it's just the top sections that need work, but that's work that'll be done at various locations through Spruce Grove. We're looking to do some storm system improvements in a specific area near Diamond Avenue in the industrial part of Spruce Grove. We've a couple of issues have come up. We're working to kind of figure out right now what we need to do and what the costs are going to be. So that may be a bit of a later tender, but we're starting to try to work through that and have a plan. We've got 2 master plan updates. We've got the stormwater master plan update. I expect the storm master plan update to be out on APC within 2 weeks, as well as the transportation master plan be on APC in the next 2 weeks. So that'll help us to plan for the future in Spruce Grove. We've also got an RFP coming out on APC to secure a consultant to help us plan for stormwater management facility rehab work. We've got some money this year to do some design work on what we know are the top 5-ish storm ponds that certainly need work. We've not necessarily done a really good job over the years of maintaining stormwater management facilities. So we're finally getting to a point where we're able to do some good design work in this year with funding secured over the next few years to complete the work. Also, we've got some missing pedestrian connection money just to place some sidewalks where they seem to have been missed, or it's a good idea to put some of those in place. And that is pretty much our capital program for 2023. Again, very aggressive, lots of work coming out, really excited about it. I think I mentioned some of the tender dates, but I really expect many of them to be out on APC between beginning of February and mid-March, maybe a couple later in April, but looking to get them out really quick. We're working with consultants to get that going. And yeah, just in closing, just want to say that on behalf of the City of Spruce Grove and our council, it's been a pleasure to present to you today. And we look forward to another successful capital construction season in 2023. And just a note that we certainly appreciate the work of all of our partners year after year. Without all of your efforts and support, we certainly wouldn't have the success that we have. So thanks again.
Yeah, thank you so much, Trevor. Appreciate you presenting to us. I think I say this every year, but as a as someone who lives near Spruce Grove, I'm always interested, maybe a little extra interested to see what's happening. And happy to see that Pioneer Road's finally going to get some asphalt on it.
Yes, that will be nice, definitely.
Yeah, and again, I should mention, as everyone says, obviously APC is the main conduit from the province with regards to posting tender opportunities, but certainly we amalgamate all those for you as part of our service through BuildWorks. So hopefully you and your teams are accessing that on a daily basis. We've reached break time for perhaps a bio break or refill your coffee. We'll take about 10 minutes or so. It's 9:57 by my clock. So at about 10:07, we'll return. We have a private presentation in terms of the private industrial market coming shortly, as well as a series of other public partner presentations. So I'll see you back here in roughly 9 to 10 minutes. Okay, well, welcome back, everyone. I see Anand, you're sharing your screen there, which is perfect. So I'll introduce Anand. I think most people should probably know you by now, Anand. I know we've been working together for a number of years. Anand Pai is the executive director of NAOP, and they, of course, specialize in a lot of the commercial and industrial private side of our industry. So Anand, I'll turn it over to you, and certainly we look forward to this part of the presentation. It's something we added last year. It's something we do at our owners forums, and I know lots of our members work with our private partners in the commercial construction industry, as well as multifamily, etc. So I'll turn it over to you and look forward to the presentation.
Thanks, Matt. And you can see the presentation, not the presenter.
I can see the next slide in the notes.
Notes?
But we
Okay.
can't see your presentation as well. Yeah.
Okay, well, we can fix that up right away here. Let me know if that made it better.
There you go. Perfect.
Excellent. So my name is Anand Pai. I'm the executive director at NAOP Edmonton, and as Matt said, yeah, we've been working together for about the last 6 years. NAOP represents the commercial side of the business, so retail, industrial, office, and multifamily. And we recently actually changed our strategic plan to reflect that we would have folks in those areas kind of working together with municipalities and with other associations. So actually delineating it by asset class, because those asset classes are so different. So we'll have committees on retail, office, industrial, and multifamily. So you can read about who we are and who we represent. But we'll kind of give an overview of the market and how it relates to the Construction Association and the municipalities. On top of our advocacy and education work, we also have an engagement program, which is about providing networking opportunities for folks and mentorship opportunities. So look out for, if you're a NAOP member, our broker panel, which has the top brokers around the Edmonton region, talking about their asset classes, and that's happening on February 8th. So thanks, Matt, for letting me do a little plug of our next event. People often don't realize that the real estate industry, including residential, is the largest industry by GDP in Canada. It's larger because of the work of construction and trades, and it's larger, in fact, than oil and gas Canada-wide, and larger than the entire industry of manufacturing. And so we start a lot of our presentations to the provincial and federal level. In the province, we're the second largest after oil and gas, with a slide about the size of the industry and all of the different components that make it up, including, of course, financing, then brokerage, then construction, and finally leasing. So making up 50% of the property taxes in Edmonton and higher and lower in different municipalities, and 3,200 jobs in Edmonton. So a little bit about the market and the different asset classes. I'll talk a little bit about the market and then also where now specializes, which is in kind of thinking about what's next for these markets and how different municipalities can help. So this slide has a ton of information on it. It's about the office market in Edmonton and area. What we're seeing here is a decrease in the net absorption in the government subsector of our downtown, and overall a very high vacancy rate for the whole of Edmonton and Edmonton region, and so that's common in Edmonton and Calgary and everywhere. One of the kind of takeaways from this that I take is that this isn't a downtown issue. It really is an issue of office overall. So these vacancy rates are the actual occupied versus unoccupied space, but there's also kind of shadow vacancy, which is how much are people coming back to the office. And we're seeing actually a recovery in that over time. And, you know, with maybe this isn't an exact science, but you know, folks are coming back 3 days a week or are doing kind of a more flexible schedule. And so that bodes well for office, but overall there's so much vacancy that you won't see a lot of construction. Where there are opportunities in office, and I don't think I'm saying anything that people don't know, is in redevelopment of office space. There's a flight to quality. Tenants are looking for better experience for their employees when they do come back to the office. And so you'll see things like renovations, interior renovations, redevelopment of office space, maybe inside the city of Edmonton, conversions, and as well, you know, we're seeing some offices, being completely repurposed or demolished. You can see some of the notable transactions in the area, and you can see that the relative size of those are smaller. The industrial market, though, is a real standout right now. I think, you know, overall in all of these markets, one of the larger trends that we're seeing is that interest rates going higher and construction costs going up, as well as like the less availability of the skilled trades, means that those kind of headwinds, even when you have a really strong market like the industrial market, are kind of scaring institutional investment in a way that makes that advantages local players, disadvantages some of these national players with a lot of institutional investment, saying that you know, their allocation of dollars for new construction might be lessened because it's a relatively risky industry for the amount of return that they're getting when interest rates have gone up and construction costs have gone up and all of these things. But industrial, that sounds very negative, but industrial is really doing very well. We can see the net absorption and vacancy rate here, and this has always been strong in Edmonton and the region. And what you might take away from this slide is that this new supply here has been going up at a really great rate. So we've seen a lot of industrial construction, and here we see just construction by itself in the different regions. So northwest, south side, New Gliskew and Atchison, and a lot of that Atchison development, as you can see, is so high, and lately is because of Amazon up to Q3 2022. And here you can see that again, 2.9 million square feet in Amazon for the or in Atchison for the Amazon facility. So, you know, huge amount of building that's happening, a lot of building on spec that is happening, and opportunities here as we look at the other updates. I think one of the big things that municipalities can do to incent more industrial development is in looking at some of the areas that are doing well and thinking about what that next area will be, and how their capital programs kind of mesh with what the market is doing. And so now it works to help connect developers and municipalities to have that conversation and say, you know, where's the next area, where's the next Discovery Business Park or the next Highlands, and how can we open up those areas to make sure that they've got the things that tenants are looking for in terms of the offsite infrastructure. In retail, we're ending with retail here. We don't have a big section on the multifamily market, which is a bit more up and down and not as relevant perhaps to all of the municipalities. That market has definitely seen a big increase as well in its relative importance. Multifamily and definitely like really suffers from rising. Both suffers and is advantaged by rising interest rates as people have less money to afford single family homes, but also it's much more expensive to build them. On the retail side, you might think ending with retail would be a bad idea. You know, retail. I feel like every newspaper article talks about, you know, the end of retail and this doom and gloom in retail. But what you see here in the actual numbers in the Edmonton region is that retail has been incredibly resilient. Government incentives really helped. Wage subsidy, rent subsidy, which NAIOP in Edmonton actually was a part of. Those things really did help. And so that kind of flattened out the worst of times. And now what we're seeing is more activity in retail. So a lot of retailers have a lot of debt, but it's also leading them to have both innovated on, you know, a year or two ago, and now think about partnerships and other opportunities. And so, so you see that here in this vacancy rate that's very strong, as well as new inventory, which is maybe most relevant to the folks here, which has been steadily rising. Actually at a very solid pace, driven a lot by new residential demand and new rooftops and grocery anchored retail. So I think we have some of the increases and decreases. These are year-over-year increases in retail trade. See gas stations doing really well. Clothing and accessories are doing well because of the lessening of pandemic restrictions, people going back to work and things like that. But a lot of these things have done well by the fact that we have strong employment still. We have a great disposable income. We've done a good job of keeping housing prices and the necessities costs low, and so people have money to spend on retail things. We'll see these things tempered a little bit by interest rates, but a strong good news story for retail around the region. And we've got you know, focusing on fundamentals. E-commerce won't replace traditional retail, but what we're seeing is advantages for industrial, as industrial warehousing and logistics are doing incredibly well through e-commerce at the same time as retail performing strongly. So this is a good news story on both sides. And that's a very quick tour of the private market in retail, industrial, and office.
Thank you so much, Anand. You know, very much appreciate you taking the time, and along with a lot of our other partners. You know, it's certainly great. We're obviously very open and have been very open in terms of the collaborative sense between our two groups as well as our other partners. Certainly working together, we can all move things forward in terms of our collective industry. So thank you, Anand.
Really appreciate it. Thanks for having us, Matt.
So yeah, I mean, as I said, we work with the ECA, and our board of directors is very engaged with both our partners like CEA, CAA, our traditional partners around the architect engineering space, but also in a greater fashion with our partners at NAIOP, BOMA, UDI, Edmonton Chamber, and we're often meeting together to discuss issues that, you know, sort of go across the different areas of our expertise. So with that, I'm going to move on to a presentation from EPCOR. So I'll introduce Craig. Hi, Craig. Craig Bonneville. And I believe Mike Macbeth is also joining us. So I'll turn things over to you, Craig, and look forward to your presentation.
Sounds good. I'll just share it here. And if you can, as I put it in presentation mode, because I can never tell, can you see the next slide in the notes?
I can see the next slide in the notes, yeah.
All right, I'll do the switch here. That should be good now.
Just watching here. I didn't see a change on my screen.
Weird. I'm switching it on my side here. Display settings, just like Anand did.
Johnny, can you see any change on your screen?
No, what you might be happening is that there you go. That's good. Yeah.
That worked.
There we go.
Okay, well,
Thanks,
hopefully I can advance the slides because I have 3 screens and they're all showing full slide here. So
always fun. Always
all right.
fun. Thank you.
Thanks for the introduction. My name is Craig Bonneville. So I'm the director of the Gold Bar wastewater treatment plant for EPCOR, and Mike is our director of supply chain. Don Hawks can't be here today. He was on the agenda. I think he's our director of projects and engineering in our drainage area of the business. So I think most people know who EPCOR is. We're the, I guess, owner and operator of the water and wastewater utility in the city of Edmonton. And just a bit of background, just to set up this slide here. In 2017, the drainage branch of the city of Edmonton moved over to EPCOR, and drainage is all the wastewater collection, so sanitary and stormwater system in the city. And that happened in 2017. And you can imagine when we bring over a large group like that, there's a lot of work done on integration and so on. And that, I think, is largely done. Now we're kind of going towards our next phase of how we really perform as an integrated utility. So we're combining all kind of, if you will, 4 elements of the water wastewater system that you see here on the top of the screen into one business unit, and that work will be happening through the next few months here. And the other element we're doing is we're kind of going towards more a functional delivery model. So not dissimilar to the city of Edmonton, like maybe saw in a previous presentation. So we're more functionally designed. So we'll have, for example, a project delivery branch, if you will. We'll have an engineering branch, a planning branch, and so on. So a little bit different names and faces and titles as we move forward. My part of the presentation, I'll give a really high level overview of our capital plan in the next few years here, and then Mike will step in to talk about our work on different ways on how we're going to procure services and deliver that capital program. I think most people may know we're regulated by the city of Edmonton, and they set water and sewer rates and approve our capital plans and so on. And we call that the PBR, the performance-based regulation. So we do our rate filings in 3 or 5 year chunks. And so the spending you'll see is usually in those chunks there. So we'll start with the drainage system. And again, that's stormwater and sewer. And you can see that, it's a very large system. There's, large diameter. It's mostly a linear system, large diameter sewer trunks that are very deep. There's tunneling activities. There are lift stations. There's stormwater ponds. There's dry ponds, flood control, and that sort of thing. And you can see that there's over $800 million investment in this PBR period. And you note that this period is from 2022 to 24 and only 3 years. Normally, our regulatory filings are for 5 years. We did drainage and wastewater for 3 years simply to offset it from the water system, because for both ourselves and our regulator, the city of Edmonton, is such a large amount of work to do it all as one big rate filing. We just kind of split it up so they're offset a little bit. And so I'm not going to go through in detail all the projects here as I don't have the time, but you can see they're bundled into some of these larger categories. We, of course, partner with the city on neighborhood renewal. We obviously have to support growth in the city and extend our assets out that way. The drainage system needs a lot of work, like all of our system. Some of the pipes are 100 years old, and so there's a lot of rehabilitation activities, and more recently a lot of work done on urban flooding. So you can see a lot of that is done through dry ponds, and you may have noticed some pop up, some recent projects pop up. Low impact development, which is really to slow the amount of water that's running off our hard surfaces in the sewer system. Relining pipes, relining manholes so that water doesn't make it into the sewer system. Where it doesn't go, it goes into the storm system. At the wastewater treatment plant, you can see the big yellow part there. The majority of our work at Gold Bar here is on reliability type projects. It's an old plant. It was originally built in the mid 1950s. A lot of old concrete that's exposed to sewage, and so it needs a lot of rehabilitation work. But obviously we have other areas such as our electrical infrastructure. We also send our solids from the plant out to the City of Edmonton Waste Management Center site, where we have lagoons and solids, dewatering equipment and that sort of thing, and there's investments going on out there. That said, there is some work being done to improve our process. That's that secondary indents upgrade, which is just a technology upgrade in our treatment process. We expend a lot of energy at this facility, mostly by blowing air into our process and doing some upgrades there. And we're well aware of the importance of being a good neighbor. And we've done a lot of work in recent years on controlling our odors from the facility, and that work is intended to continue. And as you can see, we have about $170 million worth of capital investments in the next 3 years, and that work obviously is already started. Looking out in the future, again, this is just a bit of a list of the projects here. Really interesting diversity of projects here at Gold Bar. It's an interesting site. It's very confined, not a lot of elbow room here. So we work a lot with our contracting partners so that we can really work safely and effectively here. On the water system, you can see that it's a 5-year PBR window from 2022 to 26. There's $430 million worth of investments in the water system. And this includes both the 2 water treatment plants in the City of Edmonton, Rossdale and E.L. Smith, as well as our water distribution and transmission system, or water D&T, as we call it. So similar to drainage, it's a lot of linear infrastructure, expanding the system to support growth. We also have a project coming up where we're installing advanced metering infrastructure, which is similar to what the electricity side of the business did a little while ago, as well as an important initiative to continue to manage lead services. There's still a lot of homes in the older parts of the city that have lead service lines, and its replacement of those, as well as we're adding a chemical additive at the water treatment plants to help protect the corrosion and leaching of lead into the water, and that project is almost complete. But again, you can see the majority of work still is in that kind of refurbishment reliability category. And then coming up in the future, again, kind of a good diversity of work, touching electrical type work. And the other one I wanted to note that was actually on the previous slide was flood protection. So I mentioned in drainage, there's urban flood protection. We need to protect our treatment plants from the river as well. And so there's flood protection projects at both Rossdale and E.L. Smith that are in the design and planning stages right now. And then finally, on the water distribution and transmission system, you'll recognize a couple projects here from the presentation with the city. So before the city, builds LRT or upgrades, a major transportation corridor like Yellowhead Trail, we have to go in before that happens and move our infrastructure, our water pipes, our wastewater pipes. So we actually invest a fair bit in those types of projects there as well, and work closely with our partners with the city. So that's a really quick blast of the projects that are coming up here. So I think Mike's going to join in and just take a couple slides here to talk about our program to change a little bit of our procurement practices.
Okay, appreciate it, folks. My name is Mike Macbeth. I'm the Director of Supply Chain at EPCOR. And actually, before I start, I'll actually, just building on the NAOP presentation a little bit around real estate, There's been a rumor floating around that actually EPCOR is leaving downtown. I've heard that from multiple sources in the last month or so. I just want to say that's not true. We are staying, we are locked in to 2031, and we've actually densified our building through hybrid work arrangements. We're actually bringing about 85 folks into downtown that were not there previously. We are exiting Coronation, Kennydale, Edmonton, Macaulay, and Poundmaker, and relocating a bunch of folks out to Orem, but none of those folks were downtown. So I just wanted to kind of get that out there in the future. This slide does say Heather Piano's the presenter. Heather's on my team, but she's actually working on the Orem project currently, and she's very smart. She delegated it up. So with that, next slide, Craig. So what is the utility of the future project? In my mind, it's two things. So I'll just start at the high level. So the first thing is to look at digitizing our water and drainage system. We've done that on the electricity side. You know, Craig said we're doing an AMI project. That's kind of the start of it. And we're trying to figure out how big this will be and how many years it's going to take, because it's got to work within the funding that we have. But specific to this presentation today, the other part is looking at alternative procurement methodologies. And none of these will be super new to this group. The city of Edmonton's been doing these, and we've done some of this as well. So we're going to look for more of our complex projects, looking at more construction management at risk, or CMARs. And we're looking at doing an integrated project delivery project this year. And it's actually something that is near and dear to Craig's heart. It's the primary effluent channel at Gold Bar. There's a lot of complexity there, and I think we're going to dip our toes in it. So look for something hopefully in Q1 of this year. But you know, in general, when you look at these CMARs and IPDs, you're really looking at how do you get more early contractor involvement? How do you focus on outcomes that are best for customers? And in general, how do we do better collaboration with our consultants and our contractors? And I just want to say right up front, like design, bid, build isn't going away. That's still going to be the major workhorse to get some of this done. But then you think, why did we do this? Well, we did it, you know, as the water drainage business units have come together and we fully integrated drainage. We started hearing about some really good work in the UK. So we sent some of our folks over there, and that was with some water utilities over there. And maybe we'll go to the next slide, Craig. And one of the things we looked at was we have a whole bunch of gaps in terms of what a best practice may be. And you can't do everything at once. So we kind of jumped on two things. One is looking at our alternative procurements, and the other, we're calling it situational awareness, but it's really about, you know, how do we automate things better, you know, get more sensors in our network, and somewhat replicate what we saw in the UK and also on the electricity side of our business, which is a little further ahead. Next slide. So when our folks went over to the UK and looked at them all, and again, the reason we looked at it is what we found was they were delivering capital much more efficiently. They were getting better outcomes on what was kind of core to the business and to the customer. And they're actually doing it with much better safety. So it definitely caught our attention. And again, the UK, what they've done, and again, it's taken them many years to do this. It kind of doesn't start the first day. It's a multi-year journey, but they do a lot of partnerships, alliances. They focus on the total cost to operate the asset over time. You know, ESG considerations, very important. And one thing they use when you think about a CMAR, for example, you know, they use incentives and penalties to get the outcomes that they're looking for. But what I can say, because sometimes that can be scary, is they're quite symmetrical. Like, it's not like everything's a penalty. There's actually some meaningful incentives in there. And that's what we're looking for, because it's got to work for the whole community. It can't just work, you know, for the owner or all be in the customer favor. It's got to be a balance. And so we're looking at that. So next slide, Craig. And again, in terms of procurement models, this is just a way to think about it. EPCOR has kind of been on the left-hand side a little more traditional design, bid, build, you know, focus primarily on cost. We want to fully get ourselves into this capable owner pillar. again, looking at more outcomes, more collaborations, and, building deeper relationships. The UK is definitely further to the right. They're more in that alliance model, and we might kind of get ourselves there over time. But again, it's going to be a journey, and we'll bring folks along with us, which I think is really important. And then just moving to the next one, Craig. So this is just kind of the way we think about it a little bit. Everything's got to be in the middle around customers. How do we get better outcomes for them? That's through kind of effective and efficient delivery. And that'll be done through things like innovation and more focus on performance. We've got to build our own capabilities, capabilities in the contractor market. How do we achieve mutual positive value, flexibility? And we talk about a lot around collaboration, kind of doing this together. And we think about an integrated project delivery mechanism. That's all about, everyone kind of agreeing to share profit, to do a better job of assessing risk, and really work on things collaboratively. So we're going to learn a lot, assuming this project goes forward. So really looking forward to that. Next slide. And finally, just to wrap up quickly, we are looking at building some tools. We're looking at a methodology to assess what is the right delivery option for the project. Is it design, bid, build? Is it a CMAR? Is it an IPD? Maybe it's a design build. I mean, we need tools to do that. We're building out a standard CMAR contract, so we didn't have that previously. There's a lot of work as we build towards an IPD, doing internal workshops, learning from others, on the CMAR side, learning from the ones that we've done previously, and start to build our tool set out a little bit. We've already been out consulting on IPD, assessing the readiness of the market for it. We talked to the consulting engineers of Alberta, groups like this. So we're trying to signal that we're going to do things slightly differently moving forward. And as I mentioned, we are going to be going to market hopefully in Q1 this year with an IPD on one of Craig's projects. And then just a heads up that our engineering master services agreements are up by the end of the year. So you're going to see something from us this year. So with that, appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Sorry, just freezing up here. Strange. When you're working with computers, it's always challenging. But thanks, Mike. Thanks, Craig. Appreciate the presentation, Mike. Very much appreciate sort of the progressive, flexible review and moving forward with different delivery models. I think a lot of our members have seen success in some of those more progressive collaborative delivery models. So happy to hear that EPCOR is taking a look at that. And I'll move right on here, and we've got Strathcona County up next. So Ibrahim. Hi, Ibrahim. So Ibrahim is here from Strathcona County. I'll let you share your screen and I'll turn the floor over to you.
Thanks, Matt. I'm just going to share my screen here.
Yeah, there you go. Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. You see that okay?
Yeah, looks great.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. My name's Ibrahim Abunaj with Strathcona County. I'm a capital projects manager. And today I'm going to be giving you a very high level overview of what our capital program is going to look like this year. So I'm just going to, run through our annual programs here. So first off, we have our residential rehab. Contract was awarded in 2021. It's currently in negotiation for extension as per the terms of the original tender. So most of our larger annual programs, we typically have a year-to-year option to renew with a maximum term of 3 years. Just to give you guys some background. Budget amount this year is roughly 10 million, and it'll involve approximately 8 kilometers of residential streets involving concrete spot repairs such as sidewalk, concrete curb and gutter, as well as base reconstruction, asphalt overlays, that type of thing. Next, we have our arterial rehab program, very similar to the residential one. Again, the contract was awarded in 2021, currently in negotiations for extensions for this year. About half the budget as the residential one, coming in at 5 million roughly, and roughly 11 kilometers of arterial roads will be on the list for this year. Next, we have our intersection upgrades. So this year we're planning on upgrading the intersection of Township 534 at Highway 21. You can expect the tender to come out sometime next month. Budget's about 3 million, so we're looking to be doing a full upgrade, you know, lighting, traffic signals, concrete medians, drainage, you know, widenings, full scope. Next, we have our parking lots and trails rehab program. So you can expect the tender roughly, you know, next month sometime again. Budget's just under $1 million, and it's going to involve approximately 11,000 square meters of parking lot rehab, as well as 2 kilometers of trail rehabilitation, different locations throughout the county. Next, we have our Bethel Transit Center rehab. So nothing confirmed yet for, you know, in terms of schedule, but we're looking at 2023, 2024 construction, depending on department funding. Budget's about 1.5 million, and it's going to involve replacing all the deficient asphalt driving lanes with concrete. Next, we have our Missing Links program. So this is going to involve, you know, new construction for concrete sidewalks, you know, at various locations throughout the county. This contract was again awarded previously and is currently in the last year for the term. Next up, we got our bus pad installation program. You can expect the tender to come out early this year, about $500,000 budget. And this would just involve constructing new bus pads at various locations throughout the county, base, concrete, landscaping, that type of thing. We also have our Center in the Park rehabilitation. Early 2023 is kind of what we're targeting, about $2.5 million budget, and it's going to involve rehabbing Prairie Walk, removing and resetting paving stones adjacent to Prairie Walk, as well as the community center. I know that's a very sought out project, especially for the residents there. Next up, we got our rural road rehab program. Tender will be coming out next month. We're looking at about an $8 million budget, and it's going to involve upgrading various country residential subdivisions, as well as grid roads within the county. Typically, we're looking at full depth reconstruction involving cement stabilization, drainage upgrades, asphalt overlays, as well as landscaping. And similarly, we also have the gravel road reconstruction program, which is part of the rural rehab program. Coming out 2023, early this year, you can look out for the tender, about a $2.5 million budget. Very similar, but instead we'll focus on just the gravel roads, as well as, you know, drainage upgrades, landscaping, that type of thing. Typically, it's done with cement stabilization. Next up, we have our bridge replacement program. So you can look out for the tender in spring of 2023. About a $2 million budget, and it's going to involve replacing bridge-size culverts, as well as you know, small bridges as well within the county. We also have our annual traffic signal intersection replacement program. Tenders coming out in a couple months. just under $1 million budget, and it'll involve various traffic signal and cabinet upgrades within Strathcona County. Next, we have our roadways maintenance program. So this is kind of broken down into 4 different programs. We have asphalt patching, hot pour crack sealing and spray patching, emulsified asphalt supply, as well as concrete replacement. And you can look out for early 2023 for those. Just as a friendly reminder, any work within Strathcona County, you need to have a ROCAP in order to perform the work. Very easy to apply for it. You just go on our website, click the link, and pretty straightforward. So with that being said, on behalf of Strathcona County, I'd like to thank the Edmonton Construction Association, our partners, all the other panelists and attendees. And if you guys have any questions about the new construction and rehab programs, you can contact Gary Johnson. And for any of the maintenance programs, you can contact Ryan Wilson. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Ibrahim. Appreciate your presentation. Next, we have Stephen Hinton and Brita Cormack from Sturgeon County.
Thanks very much, Matt. I won't be sharing my screen today, my video, because I'm a little bit under the weather. So I'm sure nobody wants to see my red nose today. But
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Really appreciate the opportunity. This is the 3rd year that we've participated in this event, and I do find it incredibly valuable. It's an opportunity to connect with our industry partners. So thank you very, very much to the ECA for inviting us here back again today. So today I am sharing this time with Stephen Hinton, who's our Corporate Capital Program Officer. And as you know, my name is Brita Cormack, and I am the procurement lead here at Sturgeon County. So Stephen, take it away.
Awesome. Yeah, no, thank you, Brita, and thank you to all our industry partners. So as Brita said, my name is Stephen Hinton. I'm the Corporate Capital Program Officer here with Sturgeon County. So I'm in the transportation department and largely looking after our infrastructure planning here for the county. My regards today from Sturgeon County's Director of Transportation and Engineering Services as well, Gary Mayhew. He was originally scheduled to present today, but unfortunately he can't be here, so you're stuck with me. So just a quick note on 2022. With your help, 2022 was our largest capital program on record. So the overall county budget was $57 million in new funding, with transportation's portion being $45 million. And this was also in addition to any carry forward project funds. So altogether, I believe we had a program size of around 70 million last year. So this significant investment allowed us to complete several significant projects throughout the county, including the completion of some key regional projects such as the Range Road 274 project from Highway 633 to Highway 37. So this provides connectivity into Spruce Grove to the south from the Calahoo area, and as well as linkage to key Alberta highways. Another key project we completed was Meadowview Drive on the north side of Big Lake, linking Ray Gibbon Drive in St. Albert over to Highway 44. And of course, this was in addition to significant investments in the transportation infrastructure servicing our residents in growth areas such as the Sturgeon Valley and our several country residential subdivisions throughout the county. So given our time slot here today, the focus of our presentation will be on transportation related infrastructure. As you can see from the presentation there, like most municipalities, the bulk of our capital budget goes towards transportation related infrastructure of different types. So over the course of the next 3 years, we're anticipating to spend between 69 and 81% each year of our overall capital budget on transportation infrastructure. And then the remainder of the budget goes to, obviously the remaining programs, the most significant of which is our utility capital program. And there's a sizable newly increased investment into open spaces as well that we're quite excited about. So at a high level, over the next 3 years, the county is going to spend $116 million in capital spending. So that's 54 million approximately on life cycle related projects and 62 million on enhancement projects. This is also the first 3-year budget the county has completed. So this is an exciting new initiative that we have. We hope that it gives more predictability for our residents and industry partners. So the prior approach, of course, was an annual budget with an associated forecast, but with the 3-year budget, the next 3 years are largely locked in. So feel free to browse our website there to see what projects are coming. And with that, we'll just move on to the next slide here, please. Great. So yeah, as you can see here, we have a listing of our capital programs. So ultimately, our capital programs aim to support the vision identified in our strategic plan, the 5 pillars of which are planned growth, thriving communities, environmental stewardship, collaborative governance, and operational excellence. So in alignment with these priorities and to enhance our programs, the county has made recent investments into enhancing our decision-making by making it more data-driven. So to this end, we've enhanced our roadway condition data collection with scanner trucks and falling weight deflectometer testing, enhanced traffic data collection. We're trying to become like Strathcona County. They have an excellent program there. We're looking more into collision data, incorporating that, and also we have new master planning documents, such as our transportation master plan, drainage master plan, infrastructure master plan, and other documents for the Sturgeon Valley and Sturgeon industrial areas. So on the renewal or preservation side of things, we are of course striving to enhance asset management, and you'll see programs such as rehabilitation and pavement preservation, where we're utilizing now a variety of treatments from seal coats, microsurfacing, to mill and overlays and full depth reclamation type rehabilitation projects. And then on the growth side, one key area for us is just positioning ourselves to best service the significant future development that is poised to occur in the Sturgeon Valley. So for those not familiar, there's going to be a large development area between Goodrich Corners in the city and the existing country residential development. So this will be home to tens of thousands of new residents, with development density gradually adjusting from the city into the county. And of course, this is a challenge for the county in that we need to construct all new infrastructure there to service this area. And then other key priorities in the future will include supporting the Villeneuve Airport development's Heartland Industrial Area, Sturgeon Industrial Park, and other council identified priorities. And just speaking to these programs as a whole, going forward, so bridges, we're spending on average about $2 million a year going forward. And we aim to be sustainable here. Funding critical infrastructure like this is important. Collector reconstruction, you'll see a low spend for 2023. So this is our essentially new roadways, gravel to pavement conversion. But there'll be significant investments in future years. The county has a pay-as-you-go approach, so we're saving up for those in essence. And then I won't go over all of them, but you'll see we have associated dollars there for drainage, intersections, local roads, open spaces, pavement preservation, rehabilitation, and subdivision surfacing. And yeah, one thing we're quite excited about, as I mentioned before, is a new investment in open spaces, and you'll see that investment to continue to grow with time. Next slide, please, Britta. Yeah, so this slide here is just to demonstrate our number of projects we have moving forward. And this has actually changed a little bit since the presentation was put together. But in total, I have the numbers here. We have 19 projects for detailed design and engineering, and that total has grown a little bit now. And then 26 for construction as well, based on our projections. It doesn't necessarily mean you'll see 26 tenders this year. Of course, the projects will be bundled based on the type of work and if they're in the same locale, but still a significant amount of work this year and building off our large program there last year. And our goal, of course, here moving forward is just to ensure we have shovel-ready jobs for future years as well with the pre-engineering investment there. And yeah, the slide that Brita just switched to here is speaking to the breakdown of our budget. So one anomaly you might see here is the large reserve dollar allocation we have there. And that's just because the county is currently taking a pay-as-you-go approach, like I said. So we are not currently borrowing at this time for our infrastructure projects. So we are in essence saving up. And the other I guess motivation behind this is also to just save up for any adjustments in assessment the county may experience in the future, be it industrial or whatnot, to ensure sustainability of our tax rates and also the level of infrastructure we provide to residents. So in terms of how we budget, we have a very simplistic approach, largely investing in needs before wants is the goal, and taking care of the infrastructure we have before we're building new infrastructure. So to that end, you'll see, continued fairly large investments in rehabilitation, pavement preservation, in maintaining our vast local road network, 1,800 kilometers of gravel roads. And then, whatever is required to maintain our bridges, we fully fund that. So you'll see significant investment there as well. And then beyond that, we have our growth related programs as well. And so things like collector reconstruction, where we're building new paved roads. So those projects are highly vetted to ensure they align with strategic plans and, to make sure we're spending our dollars wisely. But in essence, we're focusing on our key opportunity areas in the county. So building infrastructure close to our residential base, significant development areas like Sturgeon Valley, or industrial areas like the Heartland or Sturgeon Industrial Park. And I believe that's it for me. I'll pass you off to Brita here. So thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Stephen. Great summary. So as you can see, we've got several projects lined up for the 2023 program. We will be working to have these procurements released within the next couple of months. So starting in February and moving through to March as well. Some of these will be bundled. So as Stephen mentioned, not all of these projects will go out solo, but they will definitely be bundled strategically in order to support good access to resources and infrastructure as we continue forward. Second slide here also shows additional projects that we have through life cycle and enhancement as well. One thing that Stephen did note was this open spaces program, which are several enhancements that will be coming forward as well over the next year and forward. And just as a summary, a location map to show the disbursement of some of the projects that we currently have planned and plotted for the 2023 year. Also of note, since we have moved to a multi-year capital project plan and budget, we will start to actively work on procurement initiatives in Q4 to be released for the 2024 year. And that's all I've got. But if you would like to receive a courtesy tender invitation, you can always email procurement@sturgeoncounty.ca. We are also an electronic shop, so we use the bid and tenders platform and are happy to send courtesy notifications when these tenders come out. So thank you very, very much for your time today. Really appreciate the opportunity to share our events for 2023.
Awesome. Thank you, Brita. Thank you, Stephen. Very much appreciate you joining us this morning. Next, we have Tim Saunders. Tim Saunders is with City of St. Albert, and I'll turn the floor over to you. See your screen share. It looks good to me. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Matt. Good morning, everybody. I think we're getting close to closing the loop here around the city, so I'll be brief, but we do have some very exciting projects coming down the pipeline this year. I do want to thank you for having me here today. It's great to get out. This is my first go around. I just joined the city within the last year, so I appreciate everybody's welcome. Just a little bit about our structure. We've got 4 branches within our engineering department. So we've got our capital projects office, which consists of our project managers. We've got some additional support with coordinator, administrator, as well as some temporary student staff that we bring on during our busy seasons. We are the main procurement office for the City of St. Albert. We undertake approximately 90% of the city's projects. The complex, high-risk projects do come to our office. And the other note I wanted to also note that we are using bids and tenders exclusively for our opportunities. So APC, the posting and notice is there, but bids and tenders is our format for e-procurement. First off, I do want to thank everybody involved in last year's successful program. We've got a lot of partners here and that weren't able to attend, that I do want to say thank you to. These successes would not be possible without your assistance and diligence in completing the projects. A couple of the highlights was the completion of Grey Nuns White Spruce Park. It's a urban forest area within St. Albert. If you haven't had an opportunity to visit, please do. It's a very, very serene park. Completion of Fire Hall 1 late last year. It was a new fire hall in the south side of the city to replace our Fire Hall 1 that was also decommissioned last year. We continued with our North St. Albert Trail corridor improvements, phase 1 and phase 2, as well as work at Villeneuve Road and the completion of the Denison-Jensen Gate roundabout. And we continued with phase 1 and 2 of the Ray Gibbon Drive improvement. So just a couple photos here. of our St. Albert Trail project, as well as the completed roundabout of Villeneuve and our grand opening at Fire Hall 1. Continuing last year was our neighborhood traffic calming program, which was initiated several years back within the city of St. Albert to create a safer environment for pedestrians and users. As part of the North St. Albert Trail Corridor improvement was also the roundabout at the entrance to the Walmart parking lot, and just a photo of the bridge that was completed for Ray Gibbon Drive Phase 2. Like most others, it was a very difficult budget season last year, and we're proud to say that our council delivered on a very strong budget for 2023, balanced with our capital improvements. So just a couple of the stats here: municipal and utility growth at $27 million, municipal RMR at $24 million, and our utility RMR at $42 million. And I'll go into some of the details on that here shortly. One of our major projects underway is the reconstruction of our Sturgeon Reservoir and Pump House. It's the first project that the City of St. Albert has used an integrated project delivery model. We're seeing some successes very early, and we're very excited to carry on the work within that delivery model. Here's just an overview of the facility. This corner here is where the existing reservoir and mechanical rooms exist. This is Salisbury School. So the new reservoir is going to be in this corner of the parcel with the new pump house here, and then everything will be placed back for the active use of this area. So we're very excited about this project, and similar to some others mentioned about newer, more balanced procurement models, we are also exploring that at length. We feel that some of the initiatives are balancing that risk allocation, and we will continue to do that so that in the face of price escalations as well as other external factors, putting the risk where it belongs is, I think, a win-win for all parties involved, and we'll be continuing to explore these partnerships going forward. Other projects this year is the Northeast Servicing Project. That is a water, wastewater, and storm upgrade from the northeast corner of the city. It's in support of advanced growth to the north. We've also got a wastewater trunk improvement on Gladstone Crescent that will be tendered later this year, as well as a forced main improvement on Giroux Road. Other smaller utility programs include our localized storm improvements. That's the overland drainage improvements in smaller areas, Sheridan Drive storm improvements, as well as our Grandin Booster Station decommissioning. These will all be coming out here probably Q2, mid Q2 for procurement. On the transportation side, another heavy program. We've got our arterial collector, local roadway rehabilitation. This is our mill and inlay program. Approximately 50,000 square meter of a program this year. Carrying on with our multi-use trail rehab program. Usually we have a couple of trails per year. This year is no different. Also sidewalk rehabilitation throughout the city, as well. I'll mention also our active transportation program is also carrying on this year. Got an in-depth parking lot program, as well as our bridge inspection and maintenance. In line with our bridge program, we do have one rebuild on Range Road 255 this year that is currently in design and will be tendered probably early Q3. Some of the other miscellaneous projects, we got the replacement of turf at Larry Alexek Field, as well as our city playground rehabilitation program. I believe there's 3 playgrounds involved in that. Lacombe Park Lake improvements, Kinex Arena life cycle. The Kinex Arena life cycle work for this year is the replacement of the boards in that arena, and our municipal facilities life cycle program, which is underway and carrying on for the next couple of years. We've got the Fountain Park pool that is underway now and will be complete in Q2 by summer opening. And St. Albert Place, it's a heritage facility here in St. Albert where we've got some facade improvements, HVAC, as well as window replacements going to be completed starting this year. On the growth side for transportation, we are continuing with our North St. Albert Trail corridor improvements. It is currently planned for stage 3 to commence this year. We are actually just working on our our final scoping with the council right now for funding approval. This phase 1 and phase 2. So the phase 3 portion is from Everett Drive North up to the Neil Ross intersection. Similarly, Villeneuve Road is continuing on this year. Last year, as I mentioned earlier, was completion of the roundabout at Denison and Jensen Lake, sorry, right here. This year's program is the continuation from the east portion of the roundabout into the Walmart roundabout at St. Albert Trail. And this is just depicting future Fowler Way. That's coming years. Active transportation. We're looking to close those gaps, to promote the active transportation with St. Albert, as well supporting our community amenities site on the northwest corner of the city is the improvement of Range Road 260 that will also be tendered this year. We're in the conceptual planning phases for Millennium Park. This is a council strategic project. And also, we are looking at our Fire Hall 4. This is at the Neil Ross intersection at the top end of the phase 3. It's the northwest quadrant of that intersection. And we're currently looking at, there's the RFP that's out right now for this facility. So there's a lot of work happening here, and the staging of this work is very critical. So we're getting all the details together of phasing that work. And again, thank you for everybody's time. My name is Tim Saunders. Any questions can be sent to tsaunders@stalbert.ca.
Excellent. Thanks, Tim, and welcome on our behalf to the job, and certainly appreciate the work that we do for St. Albert. Max, I see you there. Welcome. Always a pleasure to introduce Max, and Max has been headlining, if you want to call it, this event for a number of years, and certainly appreciate you presenting on behalf of Alberta Infrastructure. I'll turn the floor over to you.
Great, thanks very much, Matt, and thanks again to everyone. Hopefully you can see the screen okay. So I'd like to thank the Edmonton Construction Association for inviting me back again this year. My name is Max Amadeo. I'm the Director of Procurement at Alberta Infrastructure. I'd also like to express my appreciation to the members of the association for their partnership on our projects. In 2021-22, we completed 130 procurements with a value of just under $500 million. To date, in 2022-23, infrastructure has completed 125 procurements worth $200 million. We could not have done that without the fine work of the membership of this association. So thank you again. The capital plan budget for 2022 outlines government capital spending over a 3-year period and is expected to support an average of over 19,000 direct and 12,000 indirect jobs per year through the 2024-25 season. The government of Alberta is committed to transparency and rigorous decision-making based on long-term strategic capital planning. The Infrastructure Accountability Act ensures prudent decision-making on capital projects by legislating prioritization criteria to guide how projects are evaluated, a governance framework for developing the annual capital plan, and the development of the regular update of the 20-year strategic capital plan. The Act establishes 6 criteria that Alberta's government must consider when evaluating a capital planning submission. The capital evaluation, the criteria evaluates how the capital plan will address health, safety, and compliance needs, align with government priorities and strategies, foster economic activity and create jobs, improve program delivery and services, consider life cycle costs and whether it will generate a return on investment, and enhance the resiliency of communities. Projects in the 2022 capital plan were evaluated based on the criteria outlined in the Infrastructure Accountability Act and fit in the broader strategic context of the Building Forward Alberta's 20-year strategic capital plan. The Budget 22 capital plan is a $20.2 billion plan over 3 years and is allocated as follows: $5.85 billion for direct municipal support, $3.2 billion for capital maintenance and renewal of public infrastructure, $1.8 billion for roads and bridges, $2.2 billion for health facilities, and $1.5 billion for school projects. Information about the budget can be found at the alberta.ca website under Capital-Plan. The capital plan also provides specific projects under funding categories complete with fiscal year projected cash flows. In addition to categories mentioned in the first slide, other specific categories include streamlining service delivery, public safety and emergency services, agriculture and natural resources, family social supports and housing, skills for jobs and labor, and sports and recreation. If tradition holds, Budget 2023 will be announced in February. With the provincial election looming, government is currently determining the impact on procurement activity during that time. Please continue to look at the Alberta Purchasing Connection website for our project postings. Some highlights from Budget 2022. Construction was completed on 19 school projects, creating more than 7,300 new and 3,800 modernized student spaces throughout the province. An additional 43 school projects are underway in planning, design, or construction phase. 4 health projects, including the $1.4 billion, 186,000 square meter Calgary Cancer Center. Last summer at the peak of construction, more than 1,650 trades and construction workers were on site. Red Deer Recovery Community Facility, another 5 facilities located in Lethbridge, Gunn, Calgary, Edmonton, and Blood Tribe First Nation are currently in the planning, design, or construction phase. Progress was made on phase 1 of the new more than $400 million Jean Zwozdesky Center at Norwood. Currently 350 construction workers are on site daily. Redevelopment of the Misericordia Hospital Emergency Department. This $85 million project is supporting about 476 construction and related jobs and is anticipated to be complete by March 2023. Planning for the expansion and redevelopment of the Red Deer Regional Hospital. Design work is anticipated to begin in early 2023, and more information will be shared on that soon. Some of the projects infrastructure currently has posted on APC. These represent some of our larger projects, and I'd invite you to continue to search on APC for additional infrastructure projects. We've got the Lethbridge New School Elementary RFP design builder closing on January 26th, which is today. Grand Prairie High School and Leisure Center demo closes February 27th. Vermilion Provincial Building Fire Hall LED light replacement February 2nd. Sherwood Park Replacement School RFP for design builder closes February 7th. Edmonton Crop Diversification Center security upgrades also closes February 7th. Hinton Vehicle Inspection Station heating and electrical renewal, February 7th close as well. And then the Edmonton Firefighting Center security upgrades, February 9th. Infrastructure continues to post monthly notices of intended procurements on the Alberta Purchasing Connection website. We provide for information a list of potential upcoming solicitations from the Ministry of Infrastructure over approximately the next 9 months. The information we provide on each notice is the solicitation type, whether it's a tender, RFP, RFQ, project delivery method, title of the project, whether it's construction or services, and finally the branch responsible for managing the project. Please note no specific issuance dates are finalized. The last notice was posted last week and it included 30 projects in total, 22 construction and 8 services projects. Projects of note include Edmonton Yellowhead Youth Center, campus upgrades, phase 1, Edmonton University of Alberta Hospital Brain Center redevelopment, Edmonton School Bundle, Castle Downs and Lewis Farms, Edmonton Commerce Place restack, Edmonton demolition of the old Remand Center, Devon Pilot Plant, Analytical Labs and Office Secondary Transformer Replacement, and the Hinton Training Center renovations. Another form of funding that the government of Alberta has access to, but has now been fully allocated, is the Investing in Canada infrastructure program. As an update on this program, Alberta was allocated $3.66 billion. That's been allocated, to 88 projects in over 30 Alberta constituency under 4 streams: green infrastructure, community culture and recreation, rural and northern communities, and public transit. You can find out more about these specific projects at the website noted below there at the alberta.ca website. An update on the vendor performance management program. For those of you who have not worked in the program yet, The vendor performance management program is a contract management best practice used to manage performance of a retained vendor in an effort to control costs, mitigate risks, and drive continuous improvement. Past performance of vendors contribute to future procurement selection. Better performing vendors are given an advantage on procurements, and poorer performing vendors are given a disadvantage. Infrastructure has collected data since the VPM program began in January 6th of 2020. As of December 31st, 2022, 497 contracts have been subject to the VPM. 615 performance evaluations impacting 184 vendors were completed. The average score for contractors is 3.19 overall vendor performance rating. For consultants, it's 3.14, so way to go contractors. For more information about this program can be found again at the alberta.ca website under vendor performance management program. For specific questions about the program or your score, you can make an inquiry to this email address, infrest.vendorperformance@gov.ab.ca. And just an update on where we're at on the modernization of the Alberta Purchasing Connection website, led by Alberta by Service Alberta. The government of Alberta's undergoing a modernization of the Alberta Purchasing Connection website, which was first implemented in 2024. The project team is well into site development, and supplier community engagement sessions are planned over the next few months that will give an overview of the rollout plan, and it will test account migration. We'll be reaching out through this organization for support on this initiative. So hopefully we can get some help with some testing on that as well. The final system upgrade is scheduled for April 2023. And finally, that's my contact information and that of my Executive Director, Erica Washington. If you have any questions about today's presentation or anything to do with procurement, please feel free to contact either of us. I just wanted to mention again today that infrastructure occasionally does require completion of smaller construction projects that are less than trade agreement threshold of $100,000 for construction. In those cases, we can invite firms to bid on projects. There's no guarantee of work, but if you're interested, please feel free to send your company information to me, and I'll be happy to pass that on to our project delivery teams. So thank you again for your time, and I look forward to another successful year working closely with the Edmonton Construction Association and your members.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Max. Appreciate that. I know we've been working with some of your group on the APC upgrades, so we look forward to seeing how that's going and supporting the testing. I will also mention very briefly, I know obviously most of you know as our members, while all of our partners are posting to APC as they're required to do, we of course amalgamate all those projects on BuildWorks, as well as provide bidders lists, bid results, awards, construction values, etc. Hopefully information that you're all finding valuable in terms of pursuing projects. So this concludes our presentations for today. Please note, I've seen some of this in the chat. We will be making the presentations available directly to everyone who's participated today. We'll just compile those and then we'll send a link out to you directly. We'll also be posting that in our On the Level newsletter, where we post all kinds of information on upcoming events, education, all of our core services. So please, if you're not taking advantage of that, subscribe. You can do that right on the front page of our website. Finally, I'd like to mention one of our largest events upcoming, as I do every year, our Builders Connect Luncheon. So that's going to take place on Thursday, February 9th. The program this year features updates from our Minister of Infrastructure, Nathan Neudorf, introduction of our new board of directors, and we're introducing some new volunteer impact awards this year. Pretty excited amongst all of our team to introduce these awards. We'll have those recipients coming out shortly. And registration, of course, is open. You can go to our website to register. I think we've got over 400 people registered already. So it's a fantastic way to engage with all of your industry peers. So once again, I'd like to thank our industry partners for presenting to us today. To each of you, thank you for joining us and continuing to build first-class infrastructure for our communities. Have a great day.